What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Sansom Sports Media Podcast. We're your host, Hunter and Michael. Sitting here on the 10th of March, Champ Week is in full swing. The ACC, Big Ten, Big 12 all get started this afternoon. Going to do a little bit of conference tournament previews, talk about what we've seen so far, and talk about bid thief opportunities here within the conferences. That being said, we sit a little under 200 teams now for eligibility into the tournament even, and really we're down to about 7 teams for 4 spots outside of the automatic qualifiers. The field is shrinking rapidly, and yes, there's going to be some movement with conference tournaments. I am begging the committee to actually evaluate conference tournaments this year, especially up until Friday at least, because they need to.
You almost have to now.
Yeah.
Because there's so many that are around the cut line that are playing. Even today, you don't expect, a prominent team in a bubble conversation to be playing the first day of their conference tournament, but we have that.
Yeah.
Multiple of it, really almost all of them.
Yeah, so my opinion, I mean, you've got like SMU and some other teams like that are playing in the ACC.
Playing Syracuse, right?
Yeah. And then you've got Cincinnati, Oklahoma State, obviously a bit lower, I think, in the Big 12. And then you've got your teams like BYU even playing today. So just really an interesting field. Some of these brackets, with how large they are really starting to get it watered down just a little bit. But they should have some fun conference tournaments. Mike, what are your thoughts on all of these conferences not having a ladder bracket or not necessarily protecting their top seeds?
I think what we've seen this is nothing new. I mean, we've seen, 8, 9 seeds take out the top seeds before.
Yeah.
But when you see other conferences doing the example of putting their top seeds towards the top or moving them further along,
yeah,
and it seems to work out well, I just think eliminate a decent portion of the teams in your conference that just, you go 1-13 in your conference or whatever it is. You don't need to be playing in the conference tournament. You've done enough bad. Yes. The only thing you can do now is take out the top team or whatever it might be.
And Drake wasn't quite that bad, but they did it to Belmont. No. They're a perfect example. And then the Sun Belt moved to a ladder bracket this year, ended up protecting Troy and Marshall, and Troy did get to the championship. And for all of you that argue, it doesn't create any Cinderellas, it creates too much chalk, Georgia Southern won 5 games in 5 days and got to play Troy for the championship. You can do it. It happens, but it protects those top seeds.
I mean, Drake's had a tough season. You lose your coach, you lose all these other players.
Yeah.
But I mean, this was not it was a shock, but I think earlier in the season, Belmont had to overcome a 25-point deficit on the road against Drake to beat them. So that was not a surprise that was a competitive game and turned out to be a Drake win.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not surprised at all.
No reason for that.
Yeah.
There were years when Loyola Chicago was still there and they were good. And it was like they were playing Northern Iowa as a 1 seed, as a 9 seed. It's like, why?
What are we doing here? Yes.
Yeah. It's too good of a team to be playing that early.
Yep. Absolutely. With that, been at the Horizon League all year or all week. Just want to say that there's some really fun basketball that happens at these lower level conferences. Obviously, nobody in the Horizon League is going to be a 15 or 16 seed more than likely, but
Wright State might.
Or okay, I should say they will be a 15 or a 16, not nobody. I've been up for not too long and kind of wearing down here, so they'll end up being a 15 or a 16 seed. More than likely, if Wright State wins tonight, they're a 15. Detroit, I think, probably falls towards the 16, but with some of the chaos we've seen, there's possibility they stay as a 15 as well. But it's just been really cool to see an actual conference tournament on a neutral site. I've seen like home games, but I had never been to one. So it's been really cool. Some of the fans have traveled well, some of them haven't. It's been interesting to kind of see the environment and the dynamics and how some of these crowds have lifted teams.
We were talking off air, these schools, they don't have like the resources of, say, like the power conferences do. So to be traveling from, say, Pittsburgh up to Green Bay is tough.
Yeah.
And then them traveling to Indianapolis isn't so easy either.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, you've got Pittsburgh and Green Bay, or Robert Morris and Green Bay, respectively. Both of them did play in Indy this week. Robert Morris actually had a decent crowd. There's a couple people that stayed in my hotel that had Robert Morris shirts on when I left yesterday. But that's still 6 hours of drive time. I mean, you could fly, but I mean, a lot of people may not have the resources to just drop everything and fly on the whim of a game to go see it. And then Green Bay, it's another 6 hour drive. It's tough. But I will say Wright State, Detroit Mercy, NKU to a little bit lesser of an extent, all had really good crowds. It made for a really fun environment when I was there. I haven't watched any of the women's games, but I heard positive things about those as well. I was really impressed that, especially Wright State last night, the Wright State NKU game, over half of the lower bowl was full, which kind of impressed me. I did not expect that to happen, but decent environment. I wouldn't mind if they moved this a little bit more central than what it is now. I feel like Wright State, NKU, IU, Indy, Purdue, Fort Wayne probably get a little bit of an advantage with it being in Indy, but it's a solid location, and I'll never complain about getting to come up to like Indy or something like that.
Yeah.
With that, let's talk about the big boys. Let's start today. Big Ten gets kicking off here. Got the graphic up on the screen for you guys to see. Right away, what stands out to you? What do you like? What do you not like?
Just amazed, first off, that Oregon and Maryland are the 16-17 game. What a disappointing season for both teams.
Absolutely.
And yet, both managed to play a prominent role in the last week or two of the season of hurting some teams' resumes in that league.
Yeah. Maryland almost pulled off one of the bigger upsets of the year by beating Illinois, but wasn't able to get it.
I mean, Oregon, I think, beat was it USC when they were going through their tailspin. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Northwestern down in the other game, I mean, has beaten Indiana and USC.
Exactly.
And Penn State took out Iowa in their game. So did Maryland, for that matter.
Yeah.
So
just because those four, and I'm glad that they get all teams in. It is a chaotic, huge bracket. They have to start on Tuesday and it'll finish on Sunday. I get that, but I like the way they do it. Getting a triple bye up to the top couple of seeds here is a great move. And then just allowing these teams to like have a shot to win. I mean, is Oregon, Maryland, Northwestern, or Penn State, are any of them going to win it? Probably not. But I bet one of them wins at least 2 games.
Probably.
I mean, I don't think Indiana is clearly better than a Northwestern on a neutral site. They should be, but they've just not played.
They just lost to them at home.
Exactly. And then Oregon could give Iowa a game.
I still haven't quite locked Iowa yet. I think they're going to make it. But the predictors are nice, but it's a pretty uninspiring resume. The Nebraska win is good, obviously. The win in Indiana is very nice. There's not much else.
Yeah.
And, I mean, all they had to do down the stretch was beat Maryland or Penn State, and they lost to both of them.
Yeah.
The last thing you want to do is take another loss to a team nowhere near the bracket to close the season.
Yeah.
I know they played Michigan and Nebraska well, but they didn't win either one.
That's true, but at the same time, looking at some of the bubble, I mean, it's in a normal year, yeah, Iowa's probably right there on the cut line, but this isn't a normal year. Indiana
for Ohio State,
yeah.
As long as Iowa wins that game against Oregon and Maryland, Ohio State is in, no question.
Ohio State's
I think they're in anyway. Yeah. But
beating Indiana locked their bid up, and they're fine. Looking at other kind of bubbly teams, USC does not have a chance. Washington does not have a chance. Going down to Indiana, they have to beat Northwestern and Penn State, and they're probably going to have to beat Purdue.
Oh, absolutely. No question.
I don't know. So right now I have Indiana as one of the last teams either in or first teams out, but that is a mess. And Auburn, I'm expecting to probably win 2 games when we get to the SEC. And I have a feeling that there's going to be bid thieves like we're going to talk about as well. So Indiana's probably going to need to beat Purdue to have any chance.
I think Indiana's a good couple spots out, if not more. The 6-13 Q1, Q2 record I don't know.
Normal years, yes. But
I know.
This bubble is just so bad that you have to put somebody in. It's put them in. It's put Auburn in. It's Virginia Tech. Like SMU and NC State and the ACC are safe, and they shouldn't be.
No,
They're safe enough. Like they're in the tournament outside that last team in. It's just the bracket is bad right now. So Indiana needs probably 2 wins, and I'd feel pretty comfortable with them getting in. But like we've talked about all year, it's hard to judge what the committee's going to do with the conference tournaments. That being said, there is no way they can't evaluate these teams' performances this week. They're going to have to.
I was going to say for USC, I mean, they would have to beat Washington, Wisconsin, and Illinois, and then hope that the committee still cares.
And I don't think they would at that
And
point.
I don't know that they will.
Yeah, you're moving into Saturday at that time. They're selecting the field and moving the bracket. On that bottom half of the bracket, Michigan State's got to feel pretty good about their draw.
Yeah.
Nebraska up and down, especially been a little bit more down recently. And then UCLA, Purdue, Indiana are your other teams. I mean, none of them really stand out as tough teams. So I think Michigan State comes out of that pretty clearly. Nebraska, while they can do it, they've just been too kind of up and down, bit of a roller coaster.
I mean, they've struggled to pick up significant wins since like early January.
Yeah, exactly. Now, looking at that top end of the bracket, I mean, Ohio State's playing really well. Michigan's obviously playing well. Wisconsin is very competitive and can pull off an upset or two. And then Illinois is good. So I think the top half of this bracket is going to be really fun to watch. And especially starting on the 12th, so maybe 2 days from now, things should get really interesting really quickly.
I would put Michigan State as the favorite to come out of this tournament, only because Michigan's got a tougher draw.
Yeah, that's fair. Michigan's, I think, the betting favorite, but I don't disagree with that because Michigan State should get a little bit easier of a path, especially to the championship.
Yeah.
That being said, Michigan did just beat Michigan State, so if they get there, you never know.
Well, then that's different. Yeah, if Michigan State get there, then I'd take Michigan to win. I just think it's a tougher path to get there. That's all.
Oh, absolutely. Any other thoughts? I mean, honestly, the Big Ten's, it's open, but at the same time, I feel like the top teams are just a little bit too good.
So I think, let's see, Michigan, Illinois, Nebraska, Michigan State, UCLA, Purdue, Wisconsin, Ohio State, Iowa get there. I think Indiana doesn't get there.
I would agree with that. Right now, I mean, we're going to talk about bid thieves here in a little bit, but we're more than likely going to have at least 2 bid thieves. I do not think the Big Ten gives us one, just the way the bracket's set up and how tough some of these top teams are.
No.
So I'm not going to pick a bid thief for this conference. If you have one, Mike, this would be your time to put it.
I do not see a Minnesota or,
Rutgers or even Indiana or USC. No, none of them.
Northwestern might have a better shot than Minnesota. Northwestern's been playing fairly well down the stretch here.
Absolutely. Moving on to our Big 12 friends here.
Oh, yes.
Today we get started. Cincinnati, BYU, and Oklahoma State, even though 2 of those are very well out of the field right now, do have a shot at the tournament. They probably do need 3 wins each to get there. BYU, clearly in the field. I mean, 2 wins gets them locked in as like a 7 or an 8. I don't think they're missing anyway at all, even if they would lose to Kansas State today. But
no,
I really would advise them not to let the committee see them whimper out to Kansas State. What are your thoughts on this field? I like the way this bracket is set up as well with the double byes.
It's quite a fun bracket for sure.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, depending on because of when and where BYU can play in the tournament, it wouldn't surprise me if they took an early loss if they were down at like the 10 line for seeding for like bracketing purposes.
Yeah, there's a very high chance, and for those of you that aren't familiar, we'll explain that in just a second, but there's a very high chance that they get seeded as an 8 seed and then dropped all the way to a 10 to make sure matchups can work. For that purpose, BYU has a religious exemption to not play on Sundays. The committee has always honored it. The committee will not be changing that this year. I understand that you probably don't think that should happen, but that is how it works, and I'm not saying you, Mike. I'm just saying, like, I've heard that a lot. And BYU will continue to get that exemption every single year. That being said, they will never be seeded up to avoid playing on a Sunday. They will be seeded down. So that it's very possible they drop to that 7 seed or to the 10 seed line just for that.
Mm-hmm. As far as the games going on today, or maybe, is it today? Yeah, it is. Arizona State Baylor is an obvious elimination game. Colorado, Oklahoma State, I think certainly is too. There's no way Oklahoma State is getting in with a loss. I don't even think just beating Colorado's enough.
I think
I
if
think they
Oklahoma
at
State
least
wants
need
to,
to
they
beat
need
TCU.
Kansas. Yeah, they need Kansas.
Yeah. I think
And
I think I put them down to the fringe. They're pretty far out.
yeah,
There
and
is
again,
not a
you're
lot
hoping
there.
that the committee's actually going to evaluate that at that point. So yeah, they're far out.
And then Cincinnati, obviously they have to beat Utah.
Yeah.
And then they're going to have to beat UCF and Arizona.
Yep.
I don't see any other way.
When we were doing all of this talk about Cincinnati, my whole thing was 20 wins. They're at 17 right now. Get to 20 wins and let's have a conversation. And that's point blank how I see it.
They needed that TCU game.
Yeah. Yeah, they didn't have to have the win over Texas Tech, but they had to have the win over TCU, and they didn't get it. So here we are.
I think TCU is fine no matter what happens. They've done enough down the stretch. Look, the loss to New Orleans is awful, but the wins over Florida and Wisconsin are very nice to have.
You've more than made up for it at this point. So yeah, they're fine.
I mean, would I suggest losing to Colorado? No, but
if
I
you
don't
do,
see them missing.
I don't think it's. I mean, you may drop to the 11 line, but you're not falling out.
UCF, for all the talk about if they're going to make it, there's still enough decent to good wins on that resume.
Oh yeah.
As long as Cincinnati wins, I don't think UCF is going to miss the tournament. They may be seated on the bottom of the 10 line. Yes. I wouldn't be surprised at that.
But they should be.
There's enough good wins for them to make the field. Now, if Utah beats Cincinnati,
UCF will need to win. Yeah.
You want to win that game. Yeah. West Virginia, I know they're the 7. They got a lot of work to do.
They're not making the field.
I don't think so. Yeah. I mean, short of beating BYU and Houston.
And again, you're further out than Cincinnati is. You're in Oklahoma State. So I have a hard time getting West Virginia there unless they would, beat Kansas and Houston, or Houston and then Kansas. And then you're hoping the committee's going to do it. I don't know that they would at that point.
So you think West Virginia is behind Cincinnati?
Without looking, yes. Even though they have the 2 head-to-head losses.
Yeah.
Cincinnati has those 2 really, really top-end wins, especially on the road at Kansas. And the committee and the top 16 reviewers.
That's true. That's fair.
We're really valuing those top wins. And with Cincinnati, I'm not convinced they're not going to evaluate that Eastern Michigan loss a little lightly with 3 starters out and Cincinnati playing so well after everybody got healthy. So really interested to see what they say about Cincinnati, if they say anything at all. That being said, Arizona, Houston, Kansas, Texas Tech feel like the favorites. You could throw Iowa State in there as well. I will say Kansas, Tech, and State were all in a 3-way tie. Unfortunately, Iowa State got the short end of the stick and ended up falling to the single bye. Who's your pick to win it?
I think you could certainly argue. Well, it's tough to say who has the easier draw, Arizona or Houston. Who knows what Kansas team we're going to see, for one. Yep. I'll take Arizona.
Assuming that Peterson's healthy and playing, because everything indicates
we never know.
I think they're about the same draw. I mean, you're assuming you're getting either Cincinnati or UCF for Arizona, and then West Virginia or BYU for Houston. They should both win those games pretty easily. And then, I mean, Tech is going to get Iowa State more than likely. Kansas is going to get TCU, and that's a tough game as well. So I think Houston, Arizona make it to the semis. Give me Kansas and then give me Iowa State to come out into that the semifinals, and then I'll take Arizona over Houston to win it.
Okay.
All right. Any bid thieves you think? I think West Virginia's probably got the best shot just because they're lined up in that second round.
Yeah. If there is, that's where it would be.
But maybe Cincinnati if Arizona's not healthy or doesn't care about the tournament, but none of these draws are easy, and I don't think we'll see necessarily one. I would argue Baylor, but they got Iowa State, Texas Tech, and then they're probably looking at Arizona.
That's a lot to ask for.
Yeah. All right. Moving on, our third conference of the day that gets started on this Tuesday, the 10th. Virginia Tech, Wake Forest, Stanford, Pitt, and SMU and Syracuse play today in the first round matchups for the ACC. Virginia Tech has to win today, or they're not making it. They're my first team out right now. or my last team in. Either way, that last couple spots there are rough, but they absolutely have to win. They probably need to beat Clemson as well.
They may even have to beat North Carolina. I don't know that, Clemson is going to be enough of a go-getter for people.
That's completely fair.
I don't know. UNC, regardless of Caleb Wilson just has the UNC, we beat them kind of a thing.
Yeah, that's fair.
Are they going to need all three of these? I don't know, but there's not, they beat Virginia. They beat Virginia at home, and they beat Clemson.
Yep. If SMU didn't hit that half-court buzzer beater to beat them, Boopie Miller hit a buzzer beater in January and beat Virginia Tech, SMU would be out, Virginia Tech would be in, and it would probably be almost completely flipped. It is crazy, the trajectory.
I've heard people discuss that. Do you think that'll be talked about in the committee room?
No.
Okay.
You're lost. I mean,
right.
If you want to win. Or if you're going to win. It doesn't matter. They may mention it, but I don't think it'll be enough to sway one way or another. That being
Stanford is an interesting one. They obviously have to beat Pitt, no question. I think they got to beat NC State. They may have to beat Virginia too.
They've got to beat Pitt and NC State and at least look like a tournament team when they play Virginia, and hope the committee's watching and evaluating with their eyes rather than just looking at sheets. If they do that, maybe there's a chance.
I mean, Stanford struggled when they lost one of their best players, right, and during the Carolina game that they actually, I think, won, or either that or the game before.
Yep.
And they struggled immediately after that. But maybe they could argue they figured things out the last couple weeks of the season. I mean, they went to both Notre Dame, not that Notre Dame's any good, and beat them, and then they went to NC State and beat them.
Yeah, there's a chance, but I think they're going to need a little bit of help to get there.
SMU, I think, can get there by beating Syracuse and Louisville.
I think they can get there by beating one of the two.
Really?
I have a hard time finding these people that are going to drop out. If it's a normal year, sure, but I mean, we're talking about Cincinnati being in, West Virginia. We're talking about Stanford having a chance. At some point, the whole resume matters, and I think there's just a little bit more for these teams compared to what there is for some of these teams that are creeping up.
Well, you could argue, though, that Stanford has better wins than SMU does. Now, they have some worse losses, too.
Exactly. And that's part of the whole resume thing that I feel like a lot of people don't necessarily attribute. Oh, we have great wins, we're in. No, you have losses to terrible teams. You're not going to be in. I do think it hurts. So
the other thing that I think hurts Stanford, one of the losses when they were still healthy was a 47-40 home loss to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
The committee has seen enough of those Colorado State versus Virginia first 4 games where it's 65-40 and there's no offense.
Yeah.
It's funny. When I was watching the Miami, Ohio versus Ohio game, I said it. I was thinking, I almost said to you, if you're going to lose a game, you might as well lose a shootout offensively than a 47-40, home loss kind of a thing.
Absolutely.
No one wants to put a team in that may only score 40 points and lose.
Yeah.
If you're going to lose 100-99.
If I'm going to go to Dayton and watch these teams, I want offense.
Yes. Belmont 1 year, not, in recent years, got on at large, and one of the things that they said was they were great offensive efficiency.
Yeah.
Those things matter.
Absolutely.
So, we'll have to see. SMU, like we said, what was interesting, though, I looked through where they were after they beat North Carolina. And to my surprise, even at 12-2 with that win, they were only a win and a half above bubble.
Yeah.
So, and they were about the same after they beat Louisville, and then they lost 4 or 5 in a row here.
Yep.
So they better beat Syracuse.
They have to beat Syracuse.
Yeah.
Take it one step at a time and go from there, kind of thing.
Cal,
they got to beat Duke.
Yeah.
If you want to have a conversation, beat Duke, and then we'll have that talk.
You can't lose to Pitt and Wake to close the regular season.
Yeah. I would argue, though, that Cal is a contender to go steal a bid. They've had some really high highs. They've had some really low lows. But they have – did they beat Duke?
No.
No. They
lost by 30.
Yeah, never mind. It was UNC. Sorry, but they did beat North Carolina. So maybe Duke comes out. I don't think that they're not going to care, but maybe they come out, play a little slow. Cal jumps on them early and beats them.
Well, also Duke may not be at full strength too. I mean, they had a couple of their players that I think that got hurt in the Carolina game.
And one of their players, I believe, just broke their foot. I will leave his name off because I don't want to get it wrong, but I believe one of their starting guards broke their foot and now will be out.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but I saw that this morning. So that could significantly alter things for Duke.
I mean, Cam Boozer is still going to be walking through that door, but
exactly.
You know,
and I don't see Florida State or Cal having a shot unless Cam Boozer just magically turns mortal, which he hasn't shown yet.
If there is a bid thief, it might actually be Florida State.
I would agree with that's where I was headed next. That's a really good draw, especially a not healthy Duke team. You could win out to the semis and then get a UNC or a Clemson, and then suddenly you're in the title game, having not really played anybody fully healthy yet. And I mean, Virginia's absolutely vulnerable, as is Miami. Louisville, NC State, kind of the same discussion. I think the ACC has a high probability of giving us some sort of chaos.
The one thing for NC State and Stanford even, what bad luck to have Pitt basically win out the tiebreaker over, say, Notre Dame of getting into the ACC tournament.
Yeah.
I know Notre Dame's not very good. They're miles better. Well, not miles, but they're certainly better than Pitt, at least metrically.
Absolutely.
And, to go from having a quad 2 game to a quad 3 is a big difference now.
Yep. Absolutely. Moving ahead here towards the top end of the bracket there. I mean, I'm going to take Florida State to the semis to play Clemson. And then I'm going to take Virginia and Louisville to come out to the semifinals. Give me Virginia and Clemson in the championship with Virginia winning it. I think this is going to get chaotic.
Give me Miami to win it.
Oh, okay. I don't hate it.
Miami gets past Virginia and eventually gets past Duke.
Yeah, I don't hate that at all. All right, moving on to our SEC friends. Another huge bracket here, set up the same style as our Big 12. So those double buys, Florida, Bama, Arkansas, Vandy. Single buys, Tennessee, A&M, Georgia, and Mizzou. First round matchups are all over the place. Kentucky and LSU, not a game that Kentucky will just walk through, even though LSU is the last team in the conference. LSU is competitive. Just ask Texas A&M.
Yeah.
Auburn, Mississippi State should be a really fun matchup. Auburn has to have it. I mean, you've got to win. You've got to beat Mississippi State, and then you got to beat Tennessee, and then you can lose to Vanderbilt close and probably get in the field. That's the path for Auburn.
They're
2 games above 500.
They're 16 and 15, right?
Yeah.
Currently.
So if they get 2 more wins, and then 1 loss, that'll put them 2 games above 500, and I think they get in.
They might have to beat Vanderbilt too.
It depends on how many bid thieves we get, but the committee is going to reward their strength of schedule.
Yeah.
And if they get to 2 games above 500, that's typically the cutoff.
And if you beat Tennessee, you're adding another pretty good win.
Exactly.
Too. Maybe, well, I wouldn't say a better one than Vanderbilt, but I don't know.
Same level. Yeah.
I think Missouri is fine as long as Kentucky beats LSU.
I think Missouri's fine anyway.
Yeah. There's too many good wins on that resume. Yeah. I've been surprised to see some people projecting them for Dayton. I cannot see that.
I think I have them on like the 10 line right now.
Yeah.
So they'll be fine. Texas and Ole Miss. Texas has to win. I think they're fine more than likely either way, but Ole Miss would maybe push them down to Dayton.
If they lost?
Solidly. Yeah, they're already, I think, projecting right on the edge of Dayton, especially with Santa Clara beating St. Mary's last night. Texas probably falls to Dayton, so they do need to win that. And then Oklahoma and South Carolina. Oklahoma beat Arkansas, and then we'll have a conversation about you getting in the field.
I want to see something with Texas real quick because I know one of their wins that they have was against Chaminade, so not D1.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wonder how they should consider that because it's a tournament that like they don't get to choose that draw.
Exactly.
Sometimes that's a tricky one to me. That but anyways, so Texas against D1 competition is 17 and 13.
Yep.
I think they need to beat Ole Miss.
I would agree with beating Ole Miss. The more I look at it, the more I agree. Yeah. That being said, they're going to get kind of the similar treatment to Auburn, where they've played a really tough schedule, so they're going to get a little bit of a bump for that.
Not as tough as Auburn has, though.
No, but similar.
Yeah,
as in
sure.
They're a top 20 or 30
Yeah,
team.
and they got some good wins. You beat Vanderbilt, you beat Alabama. That helps a lot.
Exactly.
Oklahoma, you were talking about. I still don't see it, but they're going to have to beat South Carolina, A&M, and Arkansas to have
Exactly. And then you have that conversation. They're
again,
in the consideration.
And theirs ends on Sunday, which means the quarterfinals on Friday. Yeah. And you can ask Texas A&M how that goes.
Again, the committee would be stupid to not be considering these, but they've done it before. So
they never consider the SEC.
They're going to have to this year. I mean, there's no way you can't consider Auburn, Oklahoma, Texas for these like bubble teams right now, because it's just that jumbled. So
especially if like NC State, SMU, and those go out early.
Exactly.
So they go out early and they go and say, I don't know, Auburn gets past Tennessee, gets past Mississippi State, Tennessee, and Vanderbilt, and you're not going to consider that?
Yeah, they're going to have to this year.
I mean, SMU could be entering Selection Sunday on a 5-game losing streak if they don't beat Syracuse.
Yep.
Not that the last couple weeks should matter, but still.
Yeah, I agree. That being said, top of the bracket here.
Give me Florida to win this.
I would agree. Florida's the best team in the country right now. So Florida gets a 1 seed. They win out. They get the 1 seed. It's that simple for them.
Even if UConn wins the Big East.
Yeah. If both of them do not lose another game, it's Florida 4, UConn 5. Pretty clear.
Because Florida's getting through probably Missouri or Kentucky, probably Vandy, Tennessee, or I would guess, or Auburn.
Yeah.
And then
that's 3 more Q1 wins. UConn will pick up exactly 1 Q1 win if they win.
Oh,
that's if they get.
Are you worried about them at all?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, at some point we have to put teams in the tournament.
Yeah.
They ended up beating LSU, so I am more comfortable with them since they did beat LSU. Had they lost, maybe we'd have had a conversation. But
that's another one where as long as Oklahoma wins, not worried.
Yeah.
Same with Missouri. Yep. As long as Kentucky wins. And I'm not that worried about Missouri anyway.
I'm not worried about Missouri at all. All right. Big East takes up
yes.
St. John's, after UConn lost to Marquette, got that 1 seed. There are 3 tournament teams here. I think there's a high probability you see a Seton Hall or somebody come through and make a push towards maybe a bid thief, but going through St. John's and UConn is going to be hard, or St. John's and Nova is going to be difficult.
Can we talk about how significant UConn losing that game to Marquette was for Seton Hall? Because, Seton Hall gets Creighton first, fine. They win, great. Doesn't help, right?
Yeah.
The optics of getting the chance to play a potential 1-2 seed as opposed to a 5-6 seed, wherever St. John's you might have, is a huge difference. So
at the same time there, I don't think they're close enough to where that's really a needle mover. They need to beat both of them anyways.
Well, I just thought, if they were playing the 1 seed as UConn and Seton Hall gets past Creighton and UConn that way, maybe they have a chance. I don't know.
I think at that point we're doing the same thing we do every year and just trying to find a path for somebody who doesn't have a path. This year I'm taking a much more pessimistic view of some of these conference tournaments. I think Seton Hall's got to win the championship to get in. And same with anybody else outside of those top 4 seeds.
This feels like, maybe other than the ACC with Florida State, feels like the most likely conference for a bid stealer.
Yeah.
But none of these teams look capable of winning 3 and 4 games in a row.
You could convince me Xavier, Butler, Marquette, DePaul could all win several games in a row, but to get them to win 4 games in a row, it's hard to see. I think Seton Hall is your most likely bid thief, and I know that's a cop-out answer at number 4 overall, but I just feel like their defense and kind of their style keeps them in games a lot of the time when they shouldn't be.
Just can't close them out.
Exactly. So maybe they learn to close. Maybe St. John's gets upset by Butler or something, and you get chaos.
Villanova's obviously in.
Yep.
But if they trip up against DePaul or Georgetown, any chance they're below 8-9?
Probably not.
Yeah.
I know you don't like Villanova's resume this year, but
I don't, but
there's still, you have to put
I
people
know.
somewhere.
And it's hard to look at a Big East team and not look at it as like a real power conference, as opposed to just looking and seeing they're 24-6, whatever they are, with wins over Wisconsin, and Seton Hall as their next best wins.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, the WCC, where it's like, St. Mary's has a win over Gonzaga and maybe a sweep of San Francisco and nothing else, but what else can you do?
Exactly. And like Santa Clara is going to get in with the win over Xavier and then the 2 wins over St. Mary's. Like, that's just kind of how it goes. I think UConn wins this. UConn's going to be angry and they're going to avenge the loss to Marquette. They're probably going to get Marquette again in that second round, and they're going to probably just run through it if I had to guess.
Yeah. And Hurley will be coaching in that game. So
yes. Yeah. I will leave comments on that for another time.
Yeah.
All right. MAC tournament. Pretty cut and dry here. I think we can both agree that we want Miami and Akron to go out to the championship.
I would love to see
and we expect to see that. I do expect to see that happen. I want Akron to beat Miami in the championship.
Akron's been playing really well lately too.
They're clearly the better team from a metric standpoint. Obviously, Miami's undefeated and has earned the right to be number 1, and I'll give them that benefit of the doubt until they prove it wrong. But absolutely, right now, Akron is playing like the most efficient team in the conference. Give me Akron to win 2-bid MAC, and then that takes a bid away, and that's why Auburn has to win 3 games in a row.
Yeah, I agree. If Miami gets to that championship game against Akron, there's no way they're going to Dayton with a loss. I think they'll be above them. No, they should be above that.
Okay, should be and no way are 2 different things. They should absolutely be above that.
Now, if they lose to UMass on Thursday, I would not be surprised if they end up in Dayton.
Yep, I agree. I would personally prefer to see them in Dayton. I know that's going to be a bit of a hot take, but give me Miami and Dayton. Let them have a little bit of a home crowd. Let them capitalize more off the momentum and have some fun. So I'm okay with them being in Dayton. That being said, I don't know that I see them going there. All right. Anything else?
Anyone else you can see winning this other than Akron or Miami?
No.
Maybe
you could argue Toledo, Kent State are good, but I just think they're a step or 2 behind those other 2 teams right now, and that's going to end it for them.
I think Kent State is pretty clearly 3.
Agreed.
So if there is going to be somebody besides them, I would take Kent State, although they have to get through Akron first. And
they got to get through Ohio and then Akron. Then they would get to Miami. So, it's going to be a tough draw for them. I think it's Miami and Akron pretty clearly at this point.
By the way, how awesome was that Miami-Ohio versus Ohio game?
Probably the best game I've watched.
Unbelievable.
I don't know that I've ever seen a game go 100 to 100 in regulation.
Yeah, back and forth, offense. A little bit of controversy in the overtime. I thought both one call and the non-call were correct. I thought that was a block on what turned out to be the game-winning free throws. I did not think that was a foul on the last play. He went straight up. He just wasn't. The offensive guy just wasn't really in control enough.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then the aftermath, the celebration. I mean,
if you're going to sling profanities and throw water bottles and trash at people, you're going to get talked back to.
Yeah.
That's life. I don't have an issue with what Miami did. I know people do. I understand why they do. But they were the entire game. I mean, Travis Steele got hit with a water bottle in the middle of the game. It was a bad environment. Ohio probably needs to be a little bit more embarrassed than they are.
Yeah.
All right. A10, another – I think this is the most likely bid thief of all.
Absolutely.
St. Louis, clearly in the tournament, even if they would lose to Fordham or George Washington, I think
don't do it.
I don't think there's enough to drop out.
You're better off if George Washington wins, though, because they're way. Believe it or not, they're much higher metrically than Fordham is.
Absolutely. That being said, they're not dropping out. Even if they do lose a bad game, they'll be fine. Other than that, VCU currently my last 4 in right now. Right there on the bubble. What concerns me is if VCU does not win this tournament and it's not St. Louis winning in the championship against VCU, is this a situation where somebody swipes the A10 bid from VCU and St. Louis and the other team go?
That was going to be my one question was, let's say Dayton beats St. Louis in the semifinals. VCU gets to the title game and Dayton beats VCU. You don't think all three can get in?
I think they can, but I also worry about the Big East or the ACC producing bid leaves, and then suddenly VCU is your first team out.
And the MAC, Yeah.
I'm almost assuming the MAC's going to be one. I would assume if I am projecting, guys, if I'm looking at a bracket right now, assume 3 bid thieves. And then that way, if there's less, you can be happy, but assume that there's going to be 3.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody other than VCU on that bottom area. Maybe Davidson can make a run, but I don't think there's anybody down there that's going to make a run. George Mason, George Washington, Dayton, and St. Louis all feel competitive. So that top half of the bracket should be really fun to watch.
I agree.
And a reminder, this is a Sunday finish.
Yep.
So this is traditionally one of those conferences that you do not see a lot of movement for, especially on the back end. So that could help VCU, but that could also really kill VCU because they may just plug and play if VCU were to lose that championship game.
Give me Dayton to win this.
I'll take VCU.
Okay.
All right. Mountain West.
Ugh.
Another actually, this might be the higher likelihood of the two. I do think that you're going to see probably 3 bid thieves out of these low major conferences. But right now, it's a 1-bid league. I can't believe
Utah State, right?
But it's Utah State, New Mexico, San Diego State, Grand Canyon all out. Boise has a shot, but again, I think it's just too little too late for them. And I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this, the first round matchups are all going to be pretty cut and dry. And then the second round should start off just amazing and be really fun. Give me New Mexico to win this tournament.
So Utah State, you don't think is in any danger with a loss to UNLV or Wyoming?
No. Again,
I don't think there's a big difference metrically for either one. They're around kind of that 100-ish to 130 range. Yeah. I don't think. Plus, it's in Las Vegas, so if they're playing UNLV, Utah State may get a little bit more grace with it kind of being a road game.
Again, we have to put 68
right.
in the tournament. I know normal years, yes, I would be concerned about Utah State. This isn't a normal year. This bubble's bad.
San Diego State, I don't know. I know there are only a few spots. I just don't see it. I mean, they got to get through probably Colorado State. They absolutely have to beat New Mexico.
They would have to do both of those, and then you're hoping the committee's going to look at it on Saturday.
Right.
Yeah. I agree. I don't see it.
I've thought they were the best team all along, and I think somehow they'll finally figure it out, but I'll take San Diego State to beat Utah State. That's
fair. Don't hate that at all. All right, guys. 45 minutes or so of conference tournament previews here. We try to hit all the big conferences. Thank you guys for listening. We won't take up any more of your time. I know games are starting and you're probably going to be listening to those. I do appreciate you all listening all year. We'll be back, of course, at least once more this weekend to talk about everything and kind of go from there. With that, make sure you follow us on Twitter, like and subscribe here on YouTube, and we will talk soon. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone.